7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never know.
All right, guys, so hope you guys have been well. Today, what we're going to focus on is a graduation. And I know we've been doing graduation a lot, but here's the deal. I wanted to bring in and do kind of a V shape in the back to shift the weight a little bit differently. So the over direction is going to be different. The way we go about the haircut's going to be a little bit different. So I think you guys are going to like that part of it. And also, this may be my new signature haircut because of the M shape that I've now seen come through. So guys, no wasting time. Let's get started with our step-by-step. Here we go. All right, so we're going to start off by sectioning a triangle section in the top of the head. So starting at the recession point and drawing a V shape to a point in the center crown in the back. Then we draw a diagonal forward line down to behind the ear, and then a diagonal back line to the occipital bone. Now we're going to start our cut working diagonal back. So we're going to start by we're really creating that line, creating that heavier weight to the very center back of the head, which is going to create that V shape. So we start off by cutting everything flat down on the skin. That's going to create the strongest line possible. And then we start elevating from that point on. So we're continuing consistently drawing those diagonal back partings, but then elevating slightly as we work up the head to create a nice graduation in the haircut. So you see I'm staying consistent, staying diagonal back, following parallel with my fingers to the parting and just working my way up the head. What this is going to do is grow that extra length down towards the bottom of my finger, which will create that V shape in the end. So it's really, finger angle plays a huge role in how you want that shape to appear in the back of the head. So when you see different haircuts that have movement and different shapes in the back, has a lot to do with finger angle. And then your elevation has everything to do with how high that shape's going to build up and how high that graduation is going to go up. So again, starting really strong lines in the back, flat against the skin, that draws a really strong guideline, and then bringing the rest of the hair down to that point to cut the hair at the guide. So we're working palm to palm. It's the most comfortable way to cut the back of the head here. And just keeping that elevation nice and low, building up weight throughout the back of the head shape. So you can see how much overdirection happens towards the center back of the head. That overdirection really pushes that extra weight into the center, which you can see happening right now. Now we comb down our next panel. Our guide is going to come from the back. Our partings are exactly the same, so working diagonal back. Over direction is still the same. The only thing that's changing now is our elevation is going to be higher than it was on the bottom section because the curve of the head is starting to move away from us, which I talk about in every single cut that we do. So you really got to pay attention to how the head shape is shifting. So as we're working up the head shape, my elevation gets higher so that the hair stays nice and light throughout the shape. If I were to keep the elevation at the same point that I did at the bottom section, it would be really, really heavy by the time I got to the top of this section. So it's going through there. Over direction is the same, pushing that weight to the center, creating the shape. Same thing on the right side, so just working diagonal back. One thing that I'm definitely working with is my 339 comb. This is YS Park comb. And I'm going through, I'm using the tighter teeth to get nice tight tension on the haircut. Now I'm not squeezing it too tight. Like I'm not trying to shift the hair way far from where it lives, but I am working with the fine teeth to keep the hair exactly where I want it as I'm combing through the sections. So still working that over direction, still working that finger angle to create that heaviness in the back and taking it a small section at a time. Now the goal with this is you'll see me take my diagonal back parting, and then as I comb, I'm only taking a little bit of the old hair, just enough to see that guide through, and I'm not taking too much new hair so I can't see my guide. So that is how we cut the back section. Now I'm going to go through and blow it dry. This is something that I'm definitely doing in most haircuts at this point because I like watching the shape kind of unfold throughout the haircut, and I want to see that that back is exactly the way that I'm trying to cut it before I move on to the rest of the haircut. There's no point in cutting the entire cut wet and then finding out that you didn't really love the back shape of the haircut. So going through using the VibraStraight iron. This is the 413 brush from Paul Mitchell, and just to give me a little bit more air in the haircut. and just going through beveling the edge of the hair. It's a very key thing when you're ironing hair for cutting, is to just make sure that you're following the head shape with the iron to create that nice beveled feel to fit the head shape. Because that's the whole point of ironing it out and smoothing out the hair, is to make sure that you can see all the lines that you've created and how the weight is shifting in the haircut. Now I'm going to go through with some dry detailing. I'm using my DB20 scissor from Mizutani. I like this scissor because it has a really sharp blade, and the blade is skinny. So it has a lot of power, but I can get nice and close to each section that I'm working with. So I'm detailing that outer perimeter. I really wanted to see the outer perimeter coming to life right away, kind of an instant gratification thing. So I could have waited till the end, but I just like seeing that shape unfold. So now we're going to over direct everything from the side panel back to a stationary guide. You're going to notice that the way that I'm holding the scissor is a little bit different. This is, again, we've talked about this in the past. I want to keep my wrist as comfortable as possible. So just going through there, shifting my finger in the other direction of the hole in the scissor allows me to keep my wrist comfortable. If you use swivel scissors, then you can kind of automatically do this. But when you use standard scissors, it's good to just shift your finger. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's definitely worth the practice because it'll save your wrist in the end. So everything came back to that stationary guide. What that's going to do is push the weight forward, kind of hugging the jawline. So that's the angle that we're creating there. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So working diagonal forward sections, going through and cutting. One thing that I want to point out is you can see the diagram, and you guys have been asking for a downloaded version of the diagrams to use later on or to print out yourself. So I will have a link in the description. You'll see a Dropbox link. You can click that link, download the head sheet, and keep it with you to study if you want to just take that haircut with you that way. So going through, same thing, over directing back, stationary guide, and just, this is going to build up a little extra weight because you can see that my elevation is not high, but I don't mind the extra weight, and we can always go through with some dry cutting and lighten up the sides. But the density changes on the side of the head is a lot lighter than in the back because there's just more hair in the back of the head. So I don't mind that a little less elevation in the sides to go through the haircut, because I can always, again, take it out during the dry cut portion. So now I'm going to part the hair exactly where she's going to wear it. So this would definitely change within each guest that you're doing. And then based on that part, I'm going to work across the crown of the head, connecting the bottom point. And a lot of people ask where I get my guide from. My guide is always coming from the previous section. So that's the previously cut hair that I had before. So I'm just blending in the top to the bottom. A lot of times in hair cutting, the top is where you can see the heaviest points or where the layers are falling because you're cutting literally on the top of the head, so the angles are a lot different. So as I'm going through, a lot of times I like to just blend the top to keep it nice and soft. So now as I work towards the front, my finger angle is going to shift a little bit. It's going to be more with the angle of where the parietal ridge sits on the head. You can see it in a lot of the diagrams. So it's a little more angled, not straight up in the air. It's a little off to the right. So as I'm going through, I'm building up a little extra weight towards the part, which is going to be nice for the end result of the haircut, to give a little bit of extra weight up there. So slight over direction back, you can see that weight pushed forward, and now we're going to do the exact same thing in the back portion, or on the left-hand side. The only difference on the left-hand side is that we're going to over direct everything all the way back. Again, less density on the left side, it's our part side. So because we're on the part side, I can over direct everything straight back and build up a little extra weight on the left. So we'll go through blow it dry, flat wrap style. We've already blown dry the back and ironed it, so we're already working quicker. We're already ahead of time, and I can go through flat wrap, a little bit of lift, a little bit of leafing, and then my 339 comb and my VibraStraight iron just to iron it out, and that's pretty much it. So we're working the head shape. We're going to get into the dry cutting, which is really where this shape comes to life. So after I go through with the 339 comb, I go through with the 413 brush. This just allows me, again, a little bit of air to the haircut. Now you can see the shape that we did, and I always talk about the fact that just because you elevate the hair and over direct it doesn't mean that the outer perimeter looks great. So we over direct it, push the weight where we want it, and then I go in and create the outer perimeter that I'm looking for. So you start the angle with the over direction, but then you go in and detail it dry. So went through, created that V shape. Now I'm going to go through point cut a lot, adding some air and light feel to the sides of the hair. This is where I talked about we did over direct it. It's a little bit heavier. Now I'm taking that weight out. Still using the DB20 scissor. This is a 5.7 inch scissor that we have on freesaloneducation.com. I love this scissor for pretty much everything. So it's got a nano powder metal, which is a softer metal. It grips the hair really well. It's a very luxury feeling scissor. It also has a naked ball bearing screw. So it actually has ball bearings in the screw, which allows for a smoother open and close to the scissor. So it's a pretty cool tool. So you can see how smooth the back is looking, just going around the whole perimeter of the head and adding light pieces to the layers using point cutting. Not changing the line. You can see the line stays strong, just going through and adding some light feel to it with the point cutting technique. Keeping the scissor very vertical to the hair so that I don't create extra lines in there. Now I wanted to add a little bit of a fringe, but I wanted it to be really broken and really long. So I just take out a little triangle section in the very front and go in with deep point cutting just to soften right around the face. Little scissor over comb detail. This is just lifting it up. I wanted to soften the edge of that graduation right there. So this is a technique that I use to do that. And just finishing up detailing those lines. This is something that when you want to create really strong lines in a haircut, you're going to work those lines for quite a while, but it's totally worth it because this is something that no matter what, your guest will walk around and have these lines put in if you put in the work. If you just try to cut it once and let it sit there, then they're not going to be able to recreate it. Those lines aren't going to be strong enough. So just going over the lines over and over will make your haircuts a lot better. All right, so we're going to finish up the haircut with our Bercado Firm Hold Hairspray, just holding that shape in place. Now I'm going to go through with the DB20 scissor and just finish out detailing the lines. I'm using the point of the scissor. The thing I love about the DB20 scissor is how sharp the point is. So as I'm going through, hitting it with a little bit of point cutting around the edges, I can really detail those lines really well. So finishing it up, this is the end result. Hope you guys like it. Let me know. All right, like always, if you like this video, you like this haircut, hit the like button, hit the share button, comment below, let me know what you think and what you want to see next on upcoming videos. Thank you guys so much for watching and the support. Check out freesaloneducation.com and we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks. Alright guys, so on today's vlog I did something that you guys have been requesting quite a bit. This is actually a cut that I've never put on video, so pretty excited about it. This is the V-shaped long haircut. So a lot of you guys have been wondering how to create that V in the back, and I've got a lot of tips for you guys. So here is our end result on the mannequin. So you can see the longer in the back, a little bit shorter in the front. Nice long layers, so I think you guys are gonna dig this cut. Thanks for the requests out there and all the comments, all the shares, all of that. Thank you guys so much. Let's get started with our step-by-step. Here we go. All right guys, so we're gonna start off the haircut by taking a horseshoe shaped section along parietal ridge, down through mid-crown, and then back down parietal ridge, meeting at the recession points of the head right there. So very simple sectioning. That's the one thing I love about this technique is that we have basically two sections, the top and the bottom. So we're going to start by taking our diagonal back partings and then over directing it straight to the front of the face, straight out, which you can see in the bottom left-hand corner diagram that we're bringing it just straight out. Finger angle is parallel with the face. So if you wanted to create different angles, you can definitely play around with that. But I like to keep it pretty standard, especially with medium density hair. Just keeping that finger angle parallel with the face works really well. So just working our way down the head shape. I think the one thing that you want to keep in mind is that a lot of people want to create the V shape of the layering, and they want to do that either first, or they don't pay attention to the structure of the haircut to aid in the V shape of the haircut. So right now we're creating a shorter front, longer back. What that's going to do is put that point into the back, but it's not going to create a perfect V shape. What's going to create that is at the very end when we go in and do that detail work, which I'm going to show you guys. So just make sure. My thought process is, let's work on the interior of the haircut first. Let's work on the layering. What we're doing now, we're removing weight from the interior, creating our layers, and then that makes the perimeter detail work very simple because we're not working with so much weight. So my elevation is nice and high, medium level, let's say, fingers parallel to the face, and just working those sections back. Stationary guide, like I said before, so each diagonal back section, we're working more vertical at this point, but just working my way down the head, over directing everything over until I run out of hair. Once I run out of hair, there's nothing left to cut, and my line is created at that point. So this is the last little bit. You can see that I've shifted how I'm holding the scissor in my hand. I've talked about this on past videos, but it's really just as a comfort thing so I don't have to twist my wrist too much. Now we're going to work on the top. This is a key part because I think what we want to do is we want to remove a little bit of weight from the top so that it's not sitting on our outer perimeter line so we can create a better line easier. Plus, I wanted to create some layering throughout the haircut. So my goal is to push as much weight as possible to the back of the head. So I'm over directing everything towards me, over top of the forehead, and cutting a horizontal line parallel to the forehead in the front. So that'll give me my shortest point in the front and pushing the density heavier into the back point of the haircut. So real simple, just about 3 sections, over directing them to the same spot. So completely working with stationary guides. My guideline came from just the corner recession point from the previously cut section, just in case you guys are wondering. You can see that V shape. You can see it with the wave, how it kind of stacks up in the middle and gets longer to the very bottom point in the center back. Now we're just blow dry, quick flat wrap, quick iron work, and then I'm going to go through and do some dry detail work in the haircut. This is a great haircut for just getting a guest in and out of the salon, but with a lot of detail. So we do the wet cut. Now I'm going to go through detail and do some point cutting. What we've talked about before in past videos as well is that point cutting is the best way to just remove some bulk from the edges. It doesn't mean we want to change the haircut. So I am taking a vertical section, but you can see my over direction and my elevation is the same as I cut it when it was wet. So I might be taking a vertical section now, but there's really no difference. Vertical is working with the density of the hair and a lot less with the shape. So I'm going in here, just removing some of that density, lightening up the around the face and the layers. So the one thing that I want you to notice in my point cutting is that my steady blade is what is going towards my fingers. So the blade that's in motion is staying away from my finger. That allows me to not cut myself when point cutting. So best trick for that is to just take your scissor, point it away from you, and then point it back at you. And that's how you should hold your scissor to do this type of point cutting. We're doing a pretty deep point cut, but keeping the scissor very vertical so that we're not removing too much bulk. I'm not trying to change anything, just softening the layering in the haircut. So you can see that V shape come into life. Now this is a little crazy. This is not something I would do in the salon, but I wanted to show you guys a visual of how I connect those 2 points. Obviously, my guest would have shoulders and shoulder blades. So what I would do is just comb it down the back of her back and create this V shape. But what I want you to notice is the density around the edges of the hair. It's nice and light. The reason it's nice and light is because we went in and did the interior work first. So that allowed us to be able to just go in and create this soft V-shaped line in the haircut. So the layers are already doing the V shape, and now I can just go through the perimeter and make sure that that connects. The reason it doesn't completely connect right away is because when you're over directing everything to the front of the head, what that's going to do is it's going to be great until you get to behind the ear, and then your over direction is going past too many corners, so it pushes a lot of extra weight in the very back of the haircut. So just going through, using the tip of that scissor to go through detail the outer perimeter, and then you have a successful V-shaped long layered haircut. And that's it. You can see all the layers, a lot of movement. I really dig this haircut. It's one that I've definitely done in the salon quite a bit when people want that V shape in there. A little bit of Bricato hairspray to finish it off. And that is the end result. Hope you guys like this video. If you do, please share it with your friends. Hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to our channel. We got new videos every day right here on freesaloneducation.com. If you like that haircut and you want to see more, make sure you hit the like button, hit the share button, share it with all of your friends. I love seeing all of your comments and seeing what you thought about the video. So make sure you post those below. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.